Hey farm friends, welcome to Haven Acres and thanks for joining me in the farm kitchen. Today I am making a dried powder vegetable seasoning mix. Now, why am I doing this today? It's not really necessary. This would be actually a great project for this winter. However, I need jars. I need jars for other projects that I'm working on. So I need to do something with the dehydrated vegetables that I dehydrated from our garden when it was harvest time. So today's the day. Sometimes you have to do things in an order that doesn't make sense because it really does make sense. So today I'm going to make dehydrated vegetable powder, and this is something I had never thought of before until I went to a friend's house who was born and raised in Pennsylvania, and she said, "Here, smell this," and of course I did. I don't always fall for that trick, but I did. I trust her, and it was just such an amazing smell. And I said, "What is that stuff?" And she said, "Oh, I just dehydrate my vegetables and then, mix whatever I want together to make a vegetable powder." Genius, right? So I thought this year I'm going to do the same thing. So I have from our garden, and you could do this just as easily from things that you buy from the store or vegetables that you buy at a farmer's market. You don't have to grow your own to do this, just because I did. I have peppers. This is a variety of pepper, hot, mild, sweet, I have no idea. I just picked them all in one basket, chopped them up, dehydrated them, because I knew I was just going to use it for pepper powder or vegetable powder. Here I have, what is this? Oh, celery leaves. All I had to do is read the label. This is green onions that I was growing in our hoop house. We recently lost the plastic. If you haven't seen the sad little video about that, just scroll back a few videos and yeah, you'll see. But anyhow, I took the onions that were in there, dehydrated them, and used a jar, just a plastic jar that I already had. I knew I wasn't going to keep these long term because I had this in mind. Tomatoes. Tomatoes are another great thing that you can dehydrate. Just slice them up in circles. I have a couple more here that I picked at the end of the season. They've just been sitting and ripening on the windowsill. I'm not going to get to dehydrate them like I was going to, but I'll mix them in with something later when I'm cooking. But tomatoes are great to dehydrate and then use for vegetable powder. I also have, what is this? Oh, exciting, green beans. Yes, green beans that I have dehydrated, and I think that's going to be such a fun addition to our dehydrated vegetable powder. So, some green beans. I also have parsley. This is actually from 2 years. This is just a little bit that I have left from last year's garden. I'm trying to use it up because, only stays fresh for so long. But I didn't plant any parsley this year, so it's kind of a, do I use it, don't I use it thing, but I'm going to. Parsley is super, super good for you. And the last thing, I have some zucchini that I dehydrated. I dehydrated a lot of zucchini this year. I used a lot of it and made zucchini flour from the dehydrated zucchini. And if you go way back a couple of months ago in our videos, you will see the video on dehydrating zucchini and making zucchini flour from it. It's really good. You don't exchange it for white grain flour, but you can do part of it if you're trying to cut back on gluten. And I've also heard that if you choose a gluten-free lifestyle, that you can trade off 1-for-1 zucchini flour for coconut flour. But do your own research on that. But anyhow, I digress. I am going to add some dehydrated zucchini to our vegetable powder. It's not going to give it a ton of flavor. However, dehydrated zucchini definitely takes on a really nice sweetness. So that's why I'm going to add that in there. I think it's going to be a nice complement to the peppers that I have no idea if they're hot, sweet, whatever. I am also going to add some pink Himalayan salt just to give it a little saltiness. But let's get going. Okay, this is completely an experiment. I've never done this before. We're just going for it, which is pretty much how I run my life. So I think I'm going to start with the vegetables that are probably the hardest to break down, and we'll just go from there. I better get my salt before I forget. Oh yes, and I dehydrated, almost forgot. I dehydrated our own garlic this past year as well, and I want to put a little bit of garlic powder in there too. Good thing I went for the salt. Alrighty. I think we'll add peppers first. And again, it's just an experiment. Oh, those smell amazing. It's just an experiment, so some is what we're doing. Then maybe some green beans. You notice I'm putting the covers right back on these jars. When you have food dehydrated, air is not your friend. So I don't put oxygen absorbers or anything like that in with my dehydrated food because this is definitely for a short-term type of a thing. And I know I'm going to use it up quickly, so I don't bother. However, you don't want to take the lids off and let air, oxygen get in there. That will definitely start to soften them up and encourage, moisture, mold growth, whatever to get in there. So just take the lid off, get what you need to get, put the lid back on, and call it a day. All right, I'll show you an example. So I did not put oxygen absorbers in this little plastic container that I made our garlic powder in. And you can hear like there's a big chunk of garlic powder in there. It's okay, it's not gonna hurt anything. And we are gonna go through it quickly enough. I'm not worried about it, but if you can avoid that, that's best. All right, I think because these things are harder, I'm gonna give them a little whirl before I add too much and see how good it grinds it. I have my blender set on high, and there is a grind button. There's also a pulse button. I'm gonna pulse it a couple of times first and then grind it, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so that was really easy, right? You want to let all of the powder kind of settle down before you open the top, because that powder is just going to come up in your face. And especially if you're doing peppers or hot peppers, that would just come up and you would breathe it in and it would not be pretty. So we've let that settle down for a minute and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, here we go. So it's not finely chopped yet. There's still a lot of bits and pieces in there. It smells amazing. Isn't it pretty? All right, so that's all there is to it. I'm going to add, let's see, do some garlic powder. It's one way to get rid of the big chunks in here, right? All right, I love garlic, so we're just gonna put that good amount in there. I'm gonna do load it. Oh. All right, I'm gonna put some tomato flakes in there. Aren't they beautiful? And of course, anything that has a nice tomatoey base will be perfect in a soup or in a dip or anything like that. All right. Some onions. Ooh, I'm a little heavy on the onion, but that's okay. They're green onions, so they're not super strong. A little salt. You can always add more salt, of course, when you are, cooking whatever it is you're cooking. Some celery leaves, and there are little pieces of actual celery in here that are dehydrated. That will also give it a great flavor. Dropped a piece. A few. Slices of zucchini. I'm easily entertained, people, what can I say? And parsley. Just a little shake. This is something that you're making for your own kitchen, or if it turns out amazing, you can give some to a friend, but you never have to sweat it when it comes to exact measurements. When you're doing things like this, it's how can it taste bad? Like there's no way that this can taste bad. So just do what looks best to you or what suits your fancy and go from there. All right, let's give it a whirl. I'm gonna shut it off. It's not mixing real well because all that powder was at the bottom. So let's give it a little mix. You could totally do this in a food processor. Yeah, anything that you have. I'm gonna help it and give it a little bit of a chop first. Yeah, anything that will grind, you could probably do it in a coffee grinder or in a, what do they call it, like an herb grinder. You could even do it if you had like a legit bowl and pestle. You could for sure do it. It would take a long time. It would take some muscle, but you could do it. I am not a gadget girl, and I do so much with the blender that I make butter in the blender. I make, gosh, I can't even think of what I do, but I do a lot with this pesto. I do a lot with this blender. So you don't have to have a lot of fancy equipment to make good quality food. All right, it sucked most of it down in. I see a little bit that hasn't been broken down yet, so we'll take this cover off in a second, kind of stir it all back in there again, but we're getting pretty close. Oh, it smells so good. tomatoes. This is what it smells heavily of. I'm going to add a little more salt. Here we go. Got a couple of pieces of onion and tomato that just don't want to be incorporated. See them? Just a couple of pieces. We'll get them though. Just don't want to chop up. We'll get them in there. Okay, I think we're going to call it good. Look at that. Pure vegetable powder. Definitely do not want to breathe this in. You could actually, I just thought of something great. You could actually even put this in a smoothie if you're someone that enjoys smoothies, for sure. Here we are. It is a beautiful powder. Let's take a taste. Leave a little bit on the spoon. Those were hot peppers. So there's definitely a little hot pepper zing, but not much at all. Celery, salt, tomato. All right, this is awesome. Guys, so if this is something that you are interested in making, go ahead and get some of your favorite vegetables. Carrots would be another one that would be fabulous. Carrots, spinach, kale, anything leafy like that would dehydrate super quickly. But just think about anything that you would enjoy the flavor of in a vegetable dip or in your soups or stocks. That's all there is to it. It's that easy. Get some vegetables that you enjoy, dehydrate them, put them in your blender and make a veggie powder. You can add them to sour cream for a beautiful dip. You could sprinkle some on the top of a block of cream cheese if you were making bagels for like a brunch or something and just wanted a nice beautiful cream cheese spread. You can add it to casseroles, to omelets, to scrambled eggs, to meatloaf, to meatballs. Gosh, I can't even think of all of the different things. Roasting a chicken or roasting a turkey, you can sprinkle this on the top just for added veggies. So good. And I'm sure there's a million other ways that you could use this dehydrated veggie dip. But it's good for you. It's all natural. This is all organic because we grew it all here. So go ahead and give making dehydrated veggie seasoning a try. You're going to love it, and drop a comment below if you've done it before. I'm surely not the first one to do it. I look forward to seeing how you use your dry veggie mix. All right, thanks for joining us at Haven Acres, Maine. We appreciate you. Please give a thumbs up, a like, a share. Please subscribe. That helps us so much. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't, commit you to anything. But if you just hit that subscribe button, eventually it will allow us to do more and more. And we sure do appreciate that. All right, take care and have a great day.